Good. All right. Good evening, everyone. Just welcome to Clover Gardens February 14th board meeting. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6:36 p.m. You give me the role and the mission, please.
The role of the board, where you're entrusted to care for the current school and stay focused on the vision for the future school. No trust, no unity, no progress. Vision of Clover Garden School. Clover Garden School foster community, generate enthusiasm, challenge students academically, and produce successful citizens.
All right, thank you. So everyone has received the agenda. So if everybody's reviewed any changes, comments. That we'll go ahead and make a motion. Who'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda? Ms. Merle, Mr. Russell, all in favor? Thank you. And the next thing is our minutes from our January board meeting. Everybody's reviewed it in their packets. So any comments, changes to the minutes, to the January minutes? Okay. Silence means no changes. So we got, who would like to make a motion to approve the minutes? Mrs. Foster, second. Mr. Russell, all in favor? All right, thank you. So next is public comments. So there are no public comments tonight, correct?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. No, any guests, special guests?
They're
During,
always special.
all right. All right, we'll move next to our finances. Mrs. Simmons.
Yes, you should have the December 2022 and January 2023 budgets for your review and for approval.
All right, so we'll separately vote for those. So for the December finances, first of all, is there any comments that you'd like to make?
No,
For the
no,
finances. Okay.
no specific comments. Any questions?
Okay.
Straightforward.
Okay. So for December finances, we'll go ahead and make a motion. Who'd like to make a motion for that? Mrs. Lane, second. Mrs. Russell, all in favor? And then our January finances, who'd like to make a motion for it? Ms. Lane, second. Mr. Russell, all in favor? All right. That wraps up the finances. So next is academics, principal's report.
So in academics, I want to speak first to the second quarter honor roll. We had 53% of our first through 12th grade students that earned either an A or an AD honor roll recognition. And there's a recognition, a small ceremony planned right now for first through 8th graders to be held on March 3rd. Here this week. On the 28th of this month, we have curriculum night coming up, which I understand is an annual event. This is for rising 6th grade students and up, so rising middle school and all high school students. I'm going to pass around a flyer if you'd like to take a look at this, just to get an idea of what might be happening that night. A similar event is tentatively planned for new students and families that accept following the lottery to be held in April. In athletics, Mrs. Pascal had a few updates. We celebrated our seniors back on the 9th. And as far as basketball playoffs go, unfortunately, our boys varsity season did end last night to Woods Charter School in a hard-fought game. The girls varsity, on the other hand, did advance and will play a semifinal on Wednesday against Triad Math and Science Academy after defeating Rivermill last night. And Mrs. Pascal also states that the team is qualified for the state playoff. It's going to be more basketball down the road. We've turned the page to spring sports. Spring sports did begin yesterday. And she says that of those teams that are being offered, which include middle school softball, middle school and high school baseball, tennis, girls soccer, and golf, all of those teams have very healthy rosters, and she was very surprised that there were 8 middle school golfers that came in. So We have a golf team that's on the rise apparently, so that's exciting.
All right.
In enrollment, you may want to reference a document that I put in the board folder for some digits. Thank you, Mrs. Miller, for putting all that work together into one succinct document. But the current enrollment has been very steady all year. It's at 677. K-12. And as far as the 23-24 lottery update goes, of course, that date is fast approaching. That's March 6th at 2 p.m. And if you take a look, and I've highlighted where you might want to find it with your eyes on your document. But one thing to point out is that applications have increased in each grade, K through 10, over each of the past 3 years, quite significantly. So that's worth noting. And of course, the timing was great given the expansion this year. 11th and 12th are always difficult recruitment areas. So they remain low and static, but no real changes over 3 years. Just a few happenings to share with you before I hand it over to Mrs. Spencer. We had our 100th day of school back on January 20th. Elementary primarily celebrated that day. And we had some young people looking like old people walking around the building. And probably the funniest thing for me, though, was some of the drawings. I'm not sure which classrooms participated in that, but they drew what some of the teachers around the building will look like when they're 100. So if you walk the building, you may see some of those hung up on the bulletin boards. Just last week on Thursday, Coach Dotson took the Dream Team, which is the Daring to Role Model Excellence as Athletic Mentors team, on a field trip to support the Special Olympics, and that event was held at Fairchild Community Center. And lastly, I wanted to share that the ALA group led by Mrs. Nicola went to Elon University last Friday the 10th, and she shared that those middle school attendees teamed up with Elon Leadership Fellows, who are students at Elon University, to identify what their leadership type is. So the students took a short assessment, took a little quiz, engaged in some activities and a reflection, and were able to enjoy a leadership speech by a speaker who's employed at Glen Raven. So it's very nice event.
Good evening. Let's see, other happenings for us include our junior citizens, which is under the leadership of Mrs. Simmons here. They will be making a special delivery this Friday. They have hosted a pet supplies drive through the month of January. And so they were collecting supplies for pets. They will be partnering with Burlington Animal Shelter to make the delivery. In addition to the supplies that were donated, we also received some financial donations as well, contributions in just over $300. So on Friday, they will, before they go make their delivery, they'll be able to purchase more supplies to deliver to the shelter. So that's, an awesome experience there. In addition to that, the month of February is recognized, as most of we all know, is Black History Month. So as we are in classrooms learning about different contributions of African Americans, also Mrs. Batts, our social worker, has provided an opportunity for our students to participate in answering trivia questions. And so each week of this month, several questions are posed, and students are able to answer. And at the end of the month, they will be announcing the prizes and whoever those recipients are. So we don't know that part, but they will be recognized for their learning and effort there. So that was some of the happenings. Moving on to the staff, we are pleased to say, so as a teacher, sometimes 2 letters that teachers don't like to hear, maybe PD, that's professional development, because sometimes it feels like, we have to go to this session. However, that is not the case here at Florida Garden. Last Friday, we had a session, it was half day. And it was teacher-led, teacher-facilitated, great opportunity. Some of the sessions, it was about 6 sessions held, where we're looking at mental health awareness, economic and personal finances, let's see, project-based learning with ceramics. That was a big one for the staff. Also looking at technology tools and reviewing how to use one of our platforms for our students here, and behavioral strategies. And I think that was it, yes. And so it was just great, the teachers, excuse me, had an opportunity to share their content areas and even areas that they, personally enjoy. As well as connecting with one another while still fostering our sense of community. So it was great. They were kind of complaining because some wanted to have more time in their sessions, and we had to actually pull a group like, guys, we have to go for something else. So that was really exciting to see our teachers step up and have that leadership opportunity. Then moving on to our student life, we have had a very full last few weeks here. Of course, we had our any day program. We mentioned that last month, but the students did get to participate. It was roughly 30 students, and that was partnered with North Carolina Communities for Justice. And so students were able to, again, just have a broadened awareness of how they could participate in leadership as we continue to look at how we want to change and impact our school culture and climate here. So it was a great opportunity for them discovering their voice. So we're looking forward to meeting with them soon to pick up those next steps. In addition to that, a great highlight was School Choice Week. And so we were able, along with 866 other educational events, to sponsor events right here at Clover Garden. Surely you probably have seen the emails. We've had a Spirit Week and 1,000 other things, from poster making. We had a dance, which we hadn't had in a while, and school assemblies, which were spearheaded by our student council and Ms. Wilson, and a whole team of other support staff in those efforts. During the assembly, we also, let's see here, which was our culminating activity. Our elementary kids got to participate, and then middle and high school, and that was also on that early release day. Some of the activities that happened during that time, we had presentations of prizes, goodie bags were given to our new students in grades kindergarten and 500. That was an awesome gesture to, again, welcome them as we're thinking about, why this is our choice. And so again, it was just good. The excitement was amazing. We had performances by our band and dance team, as well as the students. They were able to learn the School Choice Week dance, national dance. And so that was performed as well. Lots of excitement, but there was one other event, and that was the staff versus student volleyball game. And it was pretty rough, guys. It was, we have extremely, some heavy competitors here and on both teams. Yes, and it went so well, actually, that this Friday, the staff and students will have another volleyball tournament. So again, the excitement, the energy, the camaraderie was amazing. And also we received our certificate here of appreciation for participating as a National School Choice Week presents to us Clover Garden for our activity there. If you want to pass that around, you may. And one final thing was we had our Valentine's Day dance just last Friday. So we've been dancing and having all kinds of fun and excitement. So, and I think one of the things that has been neat for me, and I just want to say this, because I think it's important to hear, as a new person to Clover Garden, experiencing the Choice Week, School Choice Week, which is new for me, and to hear students talk about why they like it here. Like, that was really good, because I feel that. And so it's just been good just to be reminded of what we have going on. It's a great place for staff and students. So that concludes our principal's report. In the folder, there is also a slideshow of some of these events for you to want to take a look at your leisure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for those updates. It's a lot of great stuff going on. And I hope you meant that the staff won the volleyball game, right? No? Little close? Okay.
They're coming.
All right, very good. All right, so we'll move along to our old business. So we only got one item on our old business tonight. So that's our Title I conclusion. Mrs. Simmons.
Yes, so we reported, up until now that we were part of a cross program consolidated monitoring review from DPI for Title I. And Clover Garden has now successfully met all the statutory compliance requirements in the review conducted by them. And as of February 1st, 2023. So we are good, closed out for another 2 to 4 years.
Very good, thank you. Moving on to governance, we'll go through our committee updates. So first is our governance committee.
All right, so the government's committee met and reviewed the bylaws as they are at this time, comparing them also to some suggestions from legal. We went through them pretty much line by line, word by word, and have submitted the new version back to legal for review. And hopefully that will be on and presented next board meeting.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you. Next is finance.
The finance committee has scheduled our annual budget review for next year, so that's going to be on March 22nd. So we're looking forward to that.
Okay. Next is academics.
We met briefly today and talked about January check-ins, and we want to specifically shout out the kindergarten and third grade classes. Kindergarten for such improvement in reading, and third grade for math, and also our 8th grade in science because they got 100% proficiency. As we were discussing, we talked about the fact that we will be focusing in on 1st, 4th, and 5th grade reading and math. And now that we have positions filled and teachers are becoming acclimated to those positions, we are expecting to see improvement in those areas. The administration is working individually with teachers and with individual grade levels to reinforce skills that maybe need some gaps filled in. They also are planning to have discussion with parents as to how they can help their students at home. And the other thing that we discussed was the fact that we do have 13 students in 3rd grade who still need to meet their RTA qualifiers, but we are also working on that. They have the MTSS that are pulling out students to make sure that those qualifiers are met. And they're also using den time and small group instruction to address those needs.
That's it?
That's it.
All right, thank you. Do we have an update on fundraising committee?
So we did meet. Who was the chair? Are you? I'm sorry.
I'm not the chair, no, but
I was
there.
Okay. Yeah, maybe Kathy.
I think Ms. June is the chair.
Right. So we did meet, and we've actually got another meeting coming up. So we are working on several different initiatives on that. I should have more to share in the next few months.
Okay, very good. And last is our long range planning. So I'll go over a few updates. And so as I'm doing that, I wanted to share here on the screen, we got some great photos that was taken. I think February 3rd was the date that was taken. So yeah, we're been really busy here for the last couple of weeks. We're about 54%ish, complete. The weather has slowed us down just a little bit, but this was a great week and looks like the forecast is looking pretty good in our favor. So pretty much all trades are on site. That's your mechanical, electrical, plumbing, the folks on the roof, putting our final touches on our roof. Not much grading or site, obviously that's wintertime, that's not the best time to be doing that, but everybody's pretty much focused on the inside of the building, trying to get it dried in. So we're not quite there yet for the dry in, but we're probably looking at a couple of weeks when we're fully dried in. It's just a great view right there of the whole entire site. Yeah, you see some of the roof is not quite there. So they've been working on that pretty hard yesterday. So yesterday, actually, we had, I want to say 7 trades. Nearly 50 people were on site yesterday. That's probably one of the most busiest days that we've had since since our first day of construction. So we continue to have our meetings. We actually have our next progress meeting, our OAC meeting tomorrow. That's our bi-weekly meeting. So it's looking really good. Just keep your fingers crossed for good weather. Does anybody got any questions about the building, site, progress? Duke Energy is still moving along with their progress. If you go down there, you're going to get stopped, which is good news. I mean, so I would say they're probably 60 to 70% complete with the Duke Energy. They were looking to get that done by the end of January. So I'm thinking probably end of February. I'm hoping for Duke Energy to finish their line work along Pagetown. That was just a big project within itself with Duke Energy. So we're all getting excited. We're getting there. So any questions? All right. So next is new business. We have 2 items on new business. So we'll start with lottery priorities.
Hi, Neva, you were up. So as you know, this is a busy time coming up. In March, as we run our lotteries, it's a huge enrollment year for us. And so it's historic, just to say the least. So we want to make sure that all of our ducks are in a row, especially before we run that lottery in March, just coming up very soon. One of the options that Ms. Nina is going to talk to you about today is talking about updating our admissions policy. So these are things that a lot of times we do over the summertime and we update our policies, procedures manual and things like that. This is a little more time pressing because the lottery goes next month. So we wanted to kind of get this out here. We got guidance from the Office of Charter Schools that said, hey, there are so many priorities that you can set based on general statute. So there's so many that you can do, but you have to, as a board, vote on the one that Clever Garden School is going to use. And so some of those that we do use already are priorities for staff children, grandchildren of staff children, things like that. Where they're prioritized. Siblings of currently enrolled students kind of get a priority there. So the biggest thing about our school and our community is just trying to keep our families together. And so one of the pieces of this general statute, one of the options that the city is going to speak to you about here in just a second, has to do with when we enroll our kids, and some other schools do this as well, other schools, but a lot of times what she gets when families decide that, hey, no, I don't want to enroll in Clever Garden because I can't come unless my whole family can come. So a lot of times they'll say, okay, well, do you have openings in other places? And we're like, well, no, this is the only one we've got. And so then families are torn between driving to different places, different locations. And so this priority would give the opportunity when we enroll children and enroll families that the whole family potentially would be able to come. So if they have 3 kids on the lottery waiting list that are in there, their applications are in there, it would give them a priority there. So that's a positive thing, we think, for our families. And also hopefully, folks won't turn us down because they have the opportunity to bring in, all of their children, and we're welcoming the whole family, because we do get a lot of feedback about, well, is there any spots, I've got a such and such, and, we've had families that have gone for years, current families have gone for years with other children on the waiting list just because we haven't had room for all of them. Whereas this priority would give us the opportunity to bring in the whole family, of course, if there's some spots available, but it would give them priority, so.
So, just to give you an idea of why we were looking at this last year, we accepted 221 students, of which 117 were all that enrolled. The reason for that is siblings didn't get in, they didn't want to go to different schools, transportation, different things on down the line. We've always done, first priority is board members and staff, children and grandchildren. And after that, it was siblings of currently enrolled students. One of the other options that they've given us is siblings of students chosen in the 23-24 lottery. Which means normally what I would have done is I would pick the number for kindergarten, and that would go on, and then first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Now what'll happen is, okay, we choose the number for kindergarten, as those are prioritized based on enrolled siblings, staff members. It would also, any others out of those two priorities, it would go to the other grades and mark those kids. So that as I'm moving up the grade levels, if there's siblings, they will get priority behind staff members and behind currently enrolled students. In doing that, and we ran several different scenarios, trying it both ways. On the one, the old way I have always done it, there would be like 92 siblings just out there that would not get in this year. Doing it this way, we still had 82 single applications, meaning there's no siblings, and we covered all but 60 siblings that as the months roll on, and we have people either decline or kids transfer, things like that, we're more likely to be able to bring the siblings in instead of a sibling being on the list for 2 or 3 years. So that was the reason for that. And in the letter that's in your, I think in your packet, the priorities that are available is on the second sheet, so you can see exactly where I'm pulling this from. But the idea is, as we are a family type of place, we want as many as families as we can get in. Families coming all together keeps them happier. We're less likely to lose kids over the summer that, well, yeah, I'm confirming I'm coming, but then as the summer rolls on and the siblings don't get in and we lose those, and that gets to be really tiring around July 25th. So that's that part of it. Did you want me to do the other?
Save the enrollment timelines.
Gotcha.
Are there any more, are any questions about this before she moves on to the other piece of that, or any questions that we have?
The lottery is March 6th. There's 824 students as of today. We've never gone that high before. I believe last year lottery, we were at 500 and something. I've never had to enroll more than 75 or 80. So it'll be an adventure. We do have the opportunity this year to use enrollees, which means when you're accepted and you go into lotteries and confirm, it throws you into enrollees where you will do your enrollment paperwork, where you'll submit the documents needed. And that way there's not all this loose paper floating around the front office or my office. And it'll be a lot easier to keep track, and then enrollees will keep reminding people, so I don't do it. So that it, and then, yeah. Any questions?
So you're wanting us to vote on the priority, the 1 through 7.
Of accepting the lottery running selected sibling. We're good with that. That one falls under that category that would add to our list of priorities for our lottery.
Is that gonna be prioritized third?
Yes,
Third,
it'll
okay.
be staff and board members.
Right,
Currently enrolled,
and
and then,
okay,
and then all the others. And we still will be able to get quite a few new families as well as new single children.
Okay. Any other questions? Before we take a vote? Okay. So who would like to make a motion for this? For the priority mentioned in this presentation? Who would like to make a motion to
I would.
approve that? Tomorrow, second.
Yep.
Mrs. Lane, all in favor? Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Nina. The next one, the last thing on the new business is our homeless dispute policy.
Christina, we'll come back to you. So as part of our requirements, with the state, there are certain, in order to be compliant, with the Kidney Bid Code legislation, there are certain things that you have to do with the organization. This is probably one of the first years we've had probably the most, homeless children identified. It's still just transparency, it's still not enough to meet the criteria for any type of additional funding or anything like that from the state. But they have changed other criteria, that would classify children as being, homeless. And a lot of that comes from, just being doubled up in the same household. We have a lot of that this year, just due to the economic, state of our community. So anyways, there are certain criteria that would, identify children as being homeless. And then this policy right here is part of the requirements. Nina did a great job, preparing and getting this stuff turned in for us. She went to our mandatory training, and made sure that we had everything turned in. And this is a document that we did not have. We did not have a policy for, disputes. So for example, if a student was the year before, received resources, things like that, because they were identified as homeless, and then something changed over the next year, things like that. This gives the families an opportunity to dispute it. And so then there's a process on there. This document should be in the Google Drive too, but it gives you the different levels, like what happens, where do they go next? And truthfully, we just didn't have this. We didn't have a policy like this in place. So this is the template they gave us, and then just need to kind of tweak it for the flip apart.
4 levels, right?
Yes, sir. And I don't know if they share anything additional with you about that or not.
No, the
This-
bottom line is, this is just, it's a template from them, but it has to be part of our
School policy.
homeless school policy.
Mhm.
And then I have to submit it.
And this would be effective, the date on the policy of February 1st.
Yeah.
All
Well,
of those compliance documents were due the very end of January, so I would think the date is today.
Right.
Today. I will clarify, I don't think we have to backdate it, but all of these requirements were due on 31st. And then they were like, hey, you forgot about everything was great. So everything else was fine, but we have to update it and we have to submit policy.
Does anyone have any questions on this policy?
Are the disputes for qualification?
yeah,
Is that how?
if a child or a family believes that their situation calls for them to be identified as homeless, and we disagree if they don't meet the qualifications, then it gives them a way to dispute that and to bring evidence and that type of thing.
Very like a hearing, like an appeals process kind of thing. It's what it seems.
And it shows them, how to appeal within the school and then how to go up the ladder all the way to the state. And then because it's a federal program, it could actually go further, but I couldn't imagine it doing that, but
Okay, any other questions? All right, let's go ahead and start the vote. So who would like to make a motion to approve Clover Gardens homeless dispute policy? Would like to make a motion? Mrs. Russell, who would like to second it? Mrs. Morrow, all in favor? All right, thank you. So that's all for new business. Thank you, Ms. Mellon. All right, next we'll move into closed session with general statutes 143-18 period 11A5 at 7:10 p.m. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion.
Make a motion to go in closed session. Thank you.
All in favor?
All in favor. Closed session is